thank you for volunteering and wanting to put together this video of myself, my business career, things I enjoyed in Douglas County. I'm just so excited about putting this together for my children, grandchildren, now that I just turned 60, and am kind of reflecting back and flexing down as I tell everybody. I want to talk about a few things that I really did enjoy. And out here at Castlewood Canyon, one of the three things, other than doing the Cherry Creek Trail, that I immensely enjoyed was I took and put together two historical trail ride trips with 26 horseback riders from one end of Douglas County to the other. And in doing that, it was to teach these people the history as we rode along, which I was fascinated with, going back to 1865 in Douglas County. And I took them across the county and showed them all these historical points. Well, the neatest thing about everything was I was out scouting this trail, trying to put this through. And that's why we came to Castlewood Canyon today, is because a week before the ride, I was scouting right behind me, the south end of Castlewood Canyon State Park, and where you can see the cliffs and the hills going up. I was riding back with a friend, and we were climbing those far cliffs there with our horses when a terrible prairie thunderstorm hit. And at that moment, the rain started coming, and we were being chased by lightning, just like the songs sing about and everything. And as we got on top of that plateau, we had the yellow slickers on and had the cowboy hats on, and we were riding as fast as any horse would go. And my favorite horse, Wrangle, and I were just going straight towards Highway 83 over there, fast as we could run, trying not to slip, crossed the highway and rode down into one of the most historical barn areas of Prairie Canyon Ranch, rode right into the barn and stayed there till nightfall, and the storm left us and everything. And after leaving, we still had a few miles to my home, which was on the east side of Douglas County in the most beautiful treat area next to Russellville. And at 8 o'clock that night, we headed out in just the moonlight giving us directions, and of course using the horses and their senses, and rode through the most beautiful full moon night through the pine trees and everything. This was one of my experiences that I'll never forget. I think the thing that I want to let everybody know is in the enjoyment of life and kind of crossing the edge and having that ride that day through the thunder and the lightning, and how you can relate to the songs then that sing about a horse in full gallop, or looking at the beautiful Western paintings, is to go ahead and do everything you can to enjoy what you can in life. And to me, doing these things, and this was something I was trying to do for others in the county and teaching history, as I did the Cherry Creek Trail, and also in Parker doing the 20-mile house renovation after purchasing that with a partner and dedicating it to the town of Parker. And then I want to show you something about this area that we call the Living Will Park, which is famous history in Parker. And in putting that park together, it was so much fun to do, not only for today, but as I reflected being in the park, and I brought in special stones that were huge, that showed the strength of the pioneers. It was for the people of yesteryear, for people of today, and now the people in the community of Parker get to see it too. So I just wanted to take a moment and show you this beautiful canyon and tell you about that trail ride. That was one of the moments I will never forget, of scouting the trail and going through that storm, surviving it, and then actually at the end, just like many things in life, you survive it, but then you actually enjoy it and never forget it. As you kids know, I've kind of taught you that too, that you can do anything you want to do, and only you can hold yourself back. But the open spaces, the beauty of Douglas County, being outdoors has meant so much to me. I can't even describe, and that's why I did participate. And in more than anything in participation, the Cherry Creek Trail, when I saw that valley start to disappear, and in that valley disappearing, I mean with development that was expected, it was that, can we still maintain, though, not only for me to have an epiphany, but for all of you to walk that trail, and the next generation of your kids and the next kids, is what can we do to preserve the feeling I had, and those who came before me that owned the beautiful ranches there, that made me want to go out and acquire the trail right away for the Douglas County organization of open space and trails, parks, And in working for them for 18 years, it was a labor of love. It was something now that everybody says, oh my gosh, we're so happy that somebody thought ahead of time to preserve that basin, that beautiful open space for us to recreate and actually see what, you know, the pioneers 100 years ago saw. That will be preserved forever.
I have here basically his resume, his background of what Mr. Niewoehner, his dedication to this town, but it just basically says kind of what he's done, but not who he is. And if I could take this opportunity to just simply quote a couple of things from one of my favorite people, Mr. Vince Lombardi, I think it pertains to Dennis Niewoehner and the kind of person that he is. And Vince Lombardi said, unless a man believes in himself and makes a total commitment to his career and puts everything he has into it, his mind, his body, his heart, what is his life worth to him? Well, Mr. Niewoehner has done that to this community since I've been here since 1988. Dennis has been here a lot longer than I have. The town of Parker came to be because of somebody like Dennis Niewoehner and his dedication, not only of land to the town of Parker to get it started, but also of his time, his dedication, his efforts, the love of this community that he has. And you'll see that tonight as he continues forward with the dedication of another 38 acres to this town and its improvements. Also, Vince Lombardi said that the quality of man's life has got to be a full measure of that man's personal commitment to excellence. If I could say anything again about Dennis Niewoehner, it is that he is truly a man of excellence. Everything he does breeds excellence. He wants to make sure that what he does for this town is in an excellent form. And finally, I will leave it with St. Francis of Assisi, who said, "It is no use walking anywhere to preach unless our walking is our preaching." Dennis Niewoehner walks the walk, talks the talk. And you'll see it as you go through this entire town. You'll see the contributions he's made. He's been named Citizen of the Year at PEDC, Cornerstone Award winner. The man is just one giving individual. And I thank him tonight from the bottom of my heart. And I know I'm speaking for council, Mr. Niewoehner, when I say thank you. Thank you for this dedication of 38 acres. I know how this was important to you, but this 38 acres is going to be a great enhancement to this community for years and years and years and years and years to come. Thank you with all my heart. At this time, I'd like to have Debbie Lewis say a few words on behalf of Mr. Dennis Niewoehner. Debbie?
Actually, I'm going to read an excerpt from a letter. There are few people who hold that man and development must ever live in conflict with nature, that there is no way for the two to live peaceably together and for both to flourish. Dennis Niewoehner proves the opposite, although I don't think he necessarily set out to prove anything. It has been Dennis's commitment to community and abiding affection for the Colorado countryside which have motivated him to help preserve the wild and rural splendor for the greater enrichment of all of Parker's citizens. The Cherry Creek Trail System is a living gift to all of us, and like all true gifts, it was given without cost. The other contributions Dennis has made are too numerous to list here. I salute Dennis as my good friend and congratulate him on this well-deserved recognition. This is signed sincerely yours, Jim Nicholson, who is a cabinet member in President Bush's cabinet.
Congratulations, Jim. Dennis, thank you again. Thank you, Debbie. With that, now I'll bring up Mr. Dennis Trapp, Parks and Recreation, to show us the dedication.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Those were very kind words and very accurate words. What I would like to do tonight is just talk real briefly about some of Dennis's involvement with parks, trails, and open space over the last 15 to 20 years here in the town of Parker. And Dennis is a man that's always had a vision, and he's always looked at what Parker could be. And he has spent a fair amount of his time, free time, coming to evening meetings, coming to council meetings, working with staff, working with council, working with homeowners associations, to bring that dream and to bring that vision to a reality. And he's been able to do that. Whether it's trail projects in the town or in the county, whether it's open space purchases in the town or in the county, construction of parks, he has always been there when we've needed some assistance. And one of the things that Dennis and I share, besides the same first name, is a passion for history. And one of the things I noticed right out of the blocks 10 years ago when I started working with Dennis was his passion for local history. And I'm sure he'll admit that, and we might even talk about it a little bit tonight. And he takes that history, that knowledge, and he integrates that into his projects that he works on, whether it's a trail, whether it's an open space acquisition, or whether it's a park. And I think the town is much better off for it. And I am very, very proud to say I've had Dennis as a friend, co-worker on projects, and I think the town really does appreciate that. And there are so many things he does behind the scenes that you and I don't see. But in the final analysis, Parker is a much, much better place for the things that Dennis Niewoehner has done over the last 15 to 20 years. What I'd like to do at this point is invite a couple of other people up here from Douglas County that have been involved with Dennis over the years. Ron Benson, who is the county's director of Parks and Trails, and Cheryl Matthews, who is the county's director of Open Space and Natural Resources.
Good evening, Council. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I'm Ron Benson, the Parks and Trails Director for Douglas County. I'll give you a little background about this Dennis Niewoehner guy. He definitely walks it, there's no doubt, and I appreciate your comments, Mayor. When I came to the county in 1989, one of the first people that I ran into was former Mayor Ann Waterman. And Ann was so busy at that time working on the 8 miles of the Parker section of the Cherry Creek Regional Trail. And she introduced me to Joe and Jeff Shoemaker. And Joe and Jeff Shoemaker are the originators of the Greenway, the Platte River Greenway that we all know that runs through Denver and runs out into the Carter Greenway out into Littleton. And their dream was to take a 24-mile trail from Cherry Creek State Park on the north to Castlewood Canyon State Park on the south. And of that 24 miles, 5 is in Arapahoe County, and that's divided up between Arapahoe County and the city of Aurora and Cherry Creek State Park. And the other 19 miles are south in Douglas County. That's divided up into 8 miles in the town of Parker and 11 miles in unincorporated Douglas County. So the first thing that Joe and Jeff and Ann said, you've got to meet this guy, Dennis Niewoehner. He's a dynamo. And he has went out and actually negotiated either right-of-way or easement for our trail sections in Parker. So I placed a call to Dennis, and we've been best friends for 16 years. And in our 11 miles of the county, I'm just really proud to tell you that we never paid one dime for 11 miles of trail right-of-way or easement. We never bought a single inch of trail. That's an accomplishment right there. And we owe that to Dennis. We had many, and I know we're short on time, so I won't really go any farther, but I just honor Dennis and honor Marcia as my friends, not just my colleagues. I hope that, he said he's going to slow down, but I know we'll be calling on him, and we'll be taking advantage of his expertise. But the last thing I had, and I'm going to actually pass out, we have a brand new guide to recreation. I want to give one to each of the council and to your acting manager. And I wanted to tell you, Dennis is a guy, and he did this a number of times. In the morning, he'd have on a very nice looking suit, and he'd be downtown working on a piece of property with attorneys, etc. In the afternoon, he'd go home, he'd put on his cowboy boots, his jeans, his flannel shirt, and he'd go out to a 4th generation rancher. You got to remember, way down the south end of the county, we got a lot of ranchers that have been there a long time, and would sit there and